Hi, everyone. This is Ellen from the Astrology Journal. I want to go over how to use this Sidereal Time calculator that I found online. It's a U.S. government tool that's posted on their Astronomical Applications Department website. And it is U.S. government, so it's public domain. Generally speaking, government tools are public domain. I'm not a lawyer, so don't. I'm not giving legal advice, but my understanding is government tools are public domain, especially if they're online tools. So if you have questions about that, you can do your own research and find out what's true and not true. But the reason that I'm looking for public domain tools is because I want to. My ultimate goal is to create an astrology software program. But the interim step, because I'm not ready to dive into learning web development and how to build astrology software apps, because I'm needing to focus on other parts of astrology. So in the meantime, as I focus on those other parts, what I'm doing is learning what I need to learn to be able to, as an intermediate step, create an astrology database in Notion that will allow me to cut down. So rather than having to rely on astrology software programs to gather data, I can instead get the data from manually calculating, but then have Notion do a lot of the calculation steps for me. It still would take longer and be more work than just using an astrology software program. But by using Notion, I can cut down on a lot of things because it will calculate a lot of the stuff. There will be some manual steps that I'll still have to do beyond what I would have to do if I just had a software program where I could punch in numbers. But it'll be a lot faster. And I will be able to keep that information in a database in my own database, whereas if I were using other software programs that generally speaking are copyrighted, as well they should be, I wouldn't be able to transfer that information to my own database because that would be violating the copyright. So this is one of the reasons I'm looking for public domain information. But the other reason is for creating an astrology software program. It will probably be helpful to have access to these resources and perhaps be able to build some aspects of the program on top of these resources, drawing from these resources. I think there's ways to do that, but I don't know the details at this time. So anyway, so that's why I'm doing this chart calculation course. That's what this video is about. It's showing how to use a sidereal time calculator as part of a chart calculation course that I'm doing on my Astrology Journal Substack page, website, whatever you want to call it. So now, how to use this? So in that course, the example chart we're using, or the example event we're using, is the Virgo new moon for September 14th, 2023. And I'm using that new moon at the date and time as it's listed in Los Angeles. And I got that information from the Griffith Observatory, which is a government observatory, a city observatory, or state. I think it's City Observatory in Los Angeles, California. So again, it's another government resource, meaning that data is freely available. Again, I'm not a lawyer, legal attorney. I believe that's true, but you would need to do your own research to confirm that for you if you have concerns about it. So how to use this sidereal time calculator? It's actually quite simple. I don't know a lot of the details of it. So for example, they have these tabular intervals. Not sure how to. I haven't played around with it, so I just leave it as is. But it would be interesting to play around with it and see what you get. Iterations, same thing. I'm not really sure. Well, actually, iterations. This probably is actually, let's just do it. This isn't necessary, but we'll just say we're going to do 7 and 7. So presumably this is going to give me 7 days of results, or 7 results that are each 7 days apart. I think that's what'll happen, but I'm not sure. So anyway, I actually already punched this information in, but when you get here, you'll actually, the date that will be there is the date for, what is today's date? Oh, it's already the 30th. So when you get here, it'll probably be set up as the date and the time is 0924 a.m. We'll say a.m. A.m. Okay, so when you get here, I believe the date and time will be just the date and time wherever you happen to be. And so you just have to enter in your date and time, or I'm sorry, the event date and time. And so ours is going to be September 15th, 2023. And the date that we want is the Greenwich Mean Time equivalent date for our event. So our event in Los Angeles is September 14th. 2023, 1840. When we add 8 hours to that, and actually we adjusted for the daylight savings on top of that. When you do all those adjustments, and we did those in previous lessons, you get September 15th, 2023 at I think it was 1:40 a.m. And so we want to look up the Greenwich Mean Time date, not the event date in the actual location. So September 15th, that's our date. And then for the time, what we want is the ephemeris time that we want. I like to use the midnight ephemeris, but you can also do noon. I'll go through how to do each. So you just put in 0000 and it'll automatically come up as 12. But all you have to do is make sure this says AM or PM. So I want AM because that's what I use, the midnight. So that's what we have here. And then you can leave like I said before, I'm just playing around with this, but these don't matter. We really just want one because we just want today. We just want that one result. But anyway, this is just me experimenting. And then the latitude and longitude is going to come up 0 for both. That'll be when you come here. I believe that's what's going to, see, that's what it did. Sorry about that. Hang on a second. So it's going to be 0 probably. And so what we want is the latitude for Greenwich. We want the latitude for actually the prime meridian. So the prime meridian, the longitude is 0. So that's going to be 0. We don't have to do anything with that. The latitude, we just have to look up the latitude for Greenwich, England. And I already did that, and it's 51.4, I think it's 467. I could be off a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that's right. You can use another public domain, another government site or a government tool is the Earth Explorer. And you can type in Greenwich, England, and get the latitude and longitude for that for England. The latitude for England, for Greenwich, England, will not be 0. It'll be like, I think it's like minus 0015. But the actual Greenwich meridian is 0. So we're using the Greenwich meridian 0. So anyway, probably more information than you needed. But anyway, here's latitude 51.467. So that's what we get. And then this label, that'll be blank also. And that's just if you want to, we can just say GMT equivalent for Virgo new moon. You don't need, this can be blank. And then just hit get data. And the get data, and that will normally, if you don't do the whole tabular interval thing, it'll just come up with one line, this first line. But then you can see, so every 7 days, and it's giving me 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's giving me 7 results. So that's kind of cool. You can you can kind of spit out a whole sidereal time calculator. But we just care about this first line, and what we care about, so you can see it gives us a date. Here's the date. UT1 just means universal time 1. I'm not entirely sure what I'm not sure what the 1 means, but there's all sorts of different time things. So I went over a little bit of that in the article before, a couple articles ago. Anyway, so we punched in midnight 0000, so it's telling us that the UT time, universal time, is 0000 because that's what we asked for. And then it's giving us the Greenwich sidereal time. It's giving us the mean, or what I assume is the average. I'm not sure what they base that average on. And then the apparent, which I assume is what we're actually seeing. the sidereal times are given, and we want the apparent 23, 34, 48. Based on a few charts that I've done, this is the one that ephemerides seem to base theirs on. This one, so for example, they're almost identical, but if we were to round up, here we get 23, 34, 49, and here we get 23, 34, 48, because we would round down because of the 2. And the ephemerides that I consulted had 23, 34, 48. They didn't round up, they just kept it the same. So I am assuming they're using the parent times. I haven't done enough to be sure, but that's sure what it seems like. And then they also list this for the local sidereal time, which I assume would be for Greenwich, and it's going to be identical. So I'm not entirely sure. I guess I didn't look closely enough at the entry page, how you would get a difference here. But anyway, they're identical, 23, 34, 48, 23, 34, 48. They're identical. But we want the Greenwich sidereal time apparent. So this is our sidereal time for our Virgo new moon, the Greenwich mean time equivalent time for that event date. And time, 23, 34, 48. And this sidereal time is for midnight Greenwich Mean Time. And we'll have to adjust that. And we'll do that actually in this article a little further on in the article. And then we can also look up for midnight. Like I said, we can look up noon, and I prefer the midnight ephemeris, but we can certainly go over noon. It's the exact same thing. We don't have to change anything except go here and type in P to get PM. And then we just click get data, and we get same thing. We see universal time has shifted from midnight to noon, so from 00:00:00 to 12:00:00. Still September 15th, and the mean time and the apparent time, 11:36:46.4764. That's a huge difference. It's 12 hours difference. So this is the biggest, in my use, as I said before, my use of this tool, the biggest error that I make sometimes is that I put in PM when I mean, or, I don't change. Usually it'll automatically come up PM, and I forget to change that. So that's the most important thing that you can do. And I personally don't have a sense yet of what the time should be. So I could be completely my chart can be completely wrong. And it's because that I did this part wrong. So that is how you use this sidereal time calculator. I hope this was helpful. And I hope it's a useful tool for those who want to, calculate charts by hand and find their own tools for whatever reasons. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will be back. In fact, I'm going to tag on another video to this going over how to do the math for the longitude for figuring out the longitude time equivalent, which is also part of this lesson, and that will come the next thing after this. Okay, take care. Bye.